The silence in that house after she left was deafening. A constant echo of absence, a physical reminder of the void that settled where laughter and shared plans once resided. She left in search of an adventure, a fire that, according to her, our routine had extinguished. He appeared like a spark, a man enveloped in an aura of wealth and power, flaunting a lifestyle of excess that fascinated her. I remember her eyes shining as she described the lavish dinners, the exotic trips, the promise of a world where pleasure seemed to be the only currency. I stayed, trying to understand what was missing, where I had failed to offer her that intensity, that artificial brilliance that attracted her. I remember her words, laden with a yearning for something more, for an escape from the life we had built together. He seduced her with the promise of hedonistic freedom, where desires were law and moderation, an unknown word. The betrayal wasn't just a physical act, but an immersion in a universe of unbridled luxury that distanced her further and further from me, from our values, from our reality. The pain cut deep, a wound that seemed never to heal. But, paradoxically, amidst the bitterness, there was a constant concern, an invisible bond that still connected me to the woman I once loved. Time passed, and the news that arrived was fragmented, unsettling. The adventure she sought seemed to have turned into something dark, stained by decadence and exploitation. Mutual friends, shocked by what they saw on her social media, mentioned extravagant parties bordering on the grotesque, an emptiness in her eyes behind the forced smile, rumors of possessive and abusive behavior on his part, as if she were just another trophy in his collection of fleeting pleasures. There was a bad feeling, a shadow hanging over her new life of empty ostentation. Then, on that fateful night, the call. A voice choked with terror, a desperate plea for help that echoed amidst the whispers of others, an environment of promiscuity and despair. The man who had bewitched her had revealed himself to be a monster behind the facade of wealth, the adventure, a prison of physical and psychological violence, where she was treated like a disposable object among others who sought only to satisfy their own desires. At that moment, the pain of betrayal vanished, replaced by an overwhelming urgency. The woman who had once chosen another path was in danger, and the instinct to protect her, to care for her, spoke louder than any resentment, even if the revulsion for the world she had entered was intense. I didn't hesitate. I dropped everything and went. The journey felt like an eternity, every kilometer traveled fueled by anguish and disturbing glimpses of what she might be experiencing. Finding her in that state, wounded, terrified, her body and soul marked by the depravity of that environment, confirmed my worst fears. The relief of seeing her alive mixed with the rage against the man who had corrupted and abused her. I took her in, cared for her wounds, offered the only safe haven I knew, the home she had abandoned in search of a false shine. There were no accusations, only the silence laden with a painful past and the urgency of the present, the silent disgust for the abyss of immorality she had plunged into. I saved her, dragged her out of the darkness she herself had sought, from a world of luxury that proved to be a deadly trap. But the time when we were one had been lost in that insatiable pursuit of empty pleasures. Trust, once broken by betrayal and the choice of such a destructive path, doesn't mend like a cracked vase. The pain of her departure, the image of her infidelity, and the revulsion for the sordid stories she told me were ghosts that haunted every corner of our house. I helped her to get back on her feet, to find a new path, to deal with the trauma and shame. But my heart, as much as her absence still ached, could no longer embrace her in the same way. The scar was too deep, the stain of her choice, indelible. The adventure she sought almost destroyed her, and by saving her, I realized that the price of her freedom was our definitive separation. I loved her, loved the woman she had been and perhaps still was somewhere beneath the layers of her dark experience, but I could no longer live by her side, reliving at every moment the abyss of lust and depravity that had almost consumed her. That chapter of our story had closed, bitter and definitive, marked by the tragedy of an incessant search for an ephemeral pleasure that revealed itself to be her near destruction.